Tonight, a rare moment in American history. Republican George Santos expelled from Congress, a lightning rod for controversy even before being sworn into office. George Santos becoming just the sixth congressman ever voted out of the House of Representatives, the first in more than 2 decades. Santos hounded by federal charges, ethics violations, and lies about his past. New allegations coming just minutes before today's vote. The now ex-congressman leaving before the vote was finished, getting into a waiting car. The sign and locks already changed on his office door. Rachel Scott on Capitol Hill. The Israel-Hamas war and the ceasefire shattered after 7 days. The Israeli military hitting deeper into southern Gaza, hospitals filled with the wounded. What this means for the more than 130 hostages, including some Americans, still held by Hamas. The renewed fighting coming after a stunning report surfaced claiming Israel knew about plans for the Hamas terror attack more than a year ago. Matt Gutman in Israel. Here in the U.S., the disturbing scene outside the Israeli consulate in Atlanta. A protester attempting to set themselves on fire. A security guard burned trying to stop it. New details coming in at this hour. The alarming warning from the mayor of Los Angeles. A possible serial killer on the loose. At least 3 victims murdered since Sunday. A major legal blow for the former president. An appeals court ruling Donald Trump can be sued for the January 6th attack on the Capitol, rejecting his claim of immunity. Pierre Thomas in Washington. Tributes tonight for former Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, a trailblazer on the bench, the first woman on the Supreme Court reshaping American law, casting decisive votes on landmark cases involving abortion and affirmative action. Tonight, Sandra Day O'Connor in her own words, Terry Moran at the Supreme Court. And for the first time, actress Felicity Huffman breaking her silence about her role in the college admissions cheating scandal, why she says she didn't.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. It's great to have you with us on this Friday night. I'm Whit Johnson in for David. And we begin with the historic vote to expel Congressman George Santos following a scathing House ethics report that accused him of blatantly stealing from his campaign to pay for personal items, including trips to Vegas, luxury goods, and even Botox treatments. Santos is only the 6th representative to ever be expelled from the House and the first without being convicted of a crime or supporting the Confederacy. The vote, 311 to 114, with 105 Republicans voting yes, reaching the 2/3 number needed to pass. Speaker Mike Johnson presiding over the vote. He and the House Republican leadership voted to let Santos stay. But Santos, defiant to the end, seen leaving the Capitol shortly after the vote. Inside, his name next to his office door was quickly removed. Now, New York Governor Kathy Hochul will set a date for a special election with the Republicans' razor-thin majority on the line. ABC's senior congressional correspondent Rachel Scott leads us off on Capitol Hill.
George Santos knew he was a dead man walking, but he was hoping this morning his Republican colleagues would save him yet again.
Are you expecting that this vote will be successful today, that you will be expelled?
I don't know.
The young congressman from New York, already mired in scandal when he was sworn in less than a year ago. He'd been caught lying about his education, his career, and his family background, even falsely claiming that his grandparents survived the Holocaust and that his mother survived 9/11.
I've said I was sorry many times. I've behaved as if I'm sorry. I am sorry. I'm deeply sorry.
But his troubles only got worse. Santos was charged with 23 federal crimes, including identity theft and credit card fraud. He pleaded not guilty. And then that stunning report from the bipartisan House Ethics Committee, finding he stole money from his campaign to pay for rent, designer clothes, even Botox. Today, he still wouldn't explain himself.
Why won't you address any of the allegations in the report? Did you use campaign funds to pay for Botox, to pay for rent?
It's not smart to do that.
And just minutes before the vote, new accusations coming to light. Fellow Republican Congressman Max Miller of Ohio accusing Santos of illegally charging thousands to his credit card after Miller made a campaign contribution.
The guy completely burned us and defrauded us. He is a crook.
Still in another extraordinary turn of events, the entire House Republican leadership, including Speaker Mike Johnson, standing by the embattled congressman, knowing he was a key vote in their fragile majority.
Speaker Johnson, will you be voting against this resolution to expel Santos?
Yes.
Speaker Johnson saying expelling a lawmaker who hasn't been convicted of a crime would set a dangerous precedent. But many rank-and-file Republicans disagreed.
Does this set a dangerous precedent?
I think the precedent is that we're holding members of Congress to a higher standard. I don't know any person throughout this nation who wouldn't want or expect members of Congress to be held to a higher standard.
When the vote came down, Santos was toast.
The clerk will notify the governor of the state of New York of the action of the House.
Expelled immediately, Santos quickly fled the Capitol. His parting words, "To hell with this place." And soon after, this scene outside his old office, security guards taking down his nameplate and changing the locks on the door.
And Rachel Scott joining us now from Capitol Hill. Rachel, there will now be a special election to replace George Santos, and that vote will have major consequences.
It certainly will, Whit. Republicans are now faced with an even slimmer majority in the House. They really can't afford to lose any votes. That special election will take place early next year, and with Santos out, Democrats see a real opportunity to pick up a seat. Whit.
Another remarkable day on the Hill. Rachel, thank you. Turning now to the war between Israel and Hamas. Combat resuming again this morning after talks to extend the week-long truce fell apart. Each side blaming the other. Within hours, Israel striking more than 200 of what it called terror targets in Gaza, most of them in the south, where Israel told Palestinians to go for safety. The death toll quickly rising. The Hamas-run health ministry saying at least 178 people were killed. The renewed fighting comes as a stunning report surfaced claiming Israel had a copy of Hamas's battle plans months before the October 7th terror attack, but the warning was ignored. ABC's Matt Gutman in Israel again tonight, and a word of caution, the images are disturbing.
Tonight, Gaza's hospitals once again filled with the cries of the wounded after that week-long ceasefire collapsed. Israel rocking Gaza, hitting over 200 targets, accusing Hamas of breaking the truce by firing multiple salvos of rockets at Israel. In Gaza, this boy with a head wound, his sister tenderly comforting him. This little girl, bandages over her eyes, crying for her mother. A UNICEF spokesperson describing the horrors.
We cannot see more children with the wounds of war, with the burns, with the shrapnel littering their body, with the broken bones.
About 1.8 million Gazans have fled to southern Gaza from the north, but Israel bombing there too. Among them, 22-year-old student Tala Herzala, who we've been following.
Where's the shelter that we can go and they can't bomb?
Israel has said it created a new system to warn civilians of impending fighting, dropping leaflets in southern Gaza today, urging civilians to move to a sliver of land near the coast.
So do you expect 2 million Palestinians to move into this very, very small strip of land?
If they go there, their chances of surviving are much, much higher.
The ceasefire breaking down with the fate of more than 130 hostages, including 8 Americans, hanging in the balance.
It came to an end because of Hamas.
And tonight, that bombshell new report, the New York Times indicating the Israeli military obtained a 40-page Hamas document codenamed Jericho Wall, calling for a barrage of rockets at the outset of the attack, drones to knock out the security cameras, and automated machine guns along the border. It was the very battle plan that Hamas used to execute the October 7th attack, which left over 1,200 people dead. According to the Times, Israeli intelligence officials completely underestimated Hamas's capability and dismissed the plan as aspirational, even ignoring clear evidence Hamas militants were training to breach the border, storm a kibbutz, and paraglide into neighborhoods, which is exactly what played out with shocking precision. One Israeli intelligence analyst sounding the alarm 3 months before the Hamas attack, saying it was designed to start a war, according to the report.
The IDF has been very clear. The Chief of Staff has said, we failed, and we take responsibility.
Are the same intel analysts still working now who were involved then?
All of them still are, and they're doing very well in finding new targets and applying pressure on Hamas.
U.S. officials telling ABC News there are no indications the U.S. intelligence community was provided the alleged Hamas document in advance.
And there are still round-the-clock negotiations to try to resume that ceasefire, but Israeli security sources telling me today that they believe Hamas only responds to pressure. So the best way of freeing the hostages is not by talking, it's by taking the fight to Hamas's leaders in southern Gaza.
And those families still desperate for news. All right, Matt, thank you. Now to a shocking scene outside the Israeli consulate in Atlanta. A person attempting to set themselves on fire. A security guard trying to stop the protester, also suffering burns. Police say a Palestinian flag was recovered at the scene, and what they believe was an act of extreme political protest. ABC's Faith Abube in Atlanta tonight.
Tonight, the disturbing scene outside the Israeli consulate in Atlanta. A protester setting themselves on fire using gasoline.
This was likely an extreme act of political protest.
The FBI and ATF investigating after police say a security guard noticed the demonstrator and tried to intervene.
Both individuals sustained burns. The security guard was burned on his wrist as well as his leg.
Medical personnel loading that guard into an ambulance, rushing him and the protester to the hospital. They say the protester is in critical condition. Investigators examining what appears to be burned clothing and material on the sidewalk. Authorities say a Palestinian flag was part of that protest. Officials say no one in the building was injured, and there doesn't appear to be a nexus to terrorism.
Right now, we're not aware of any credible threat against this location or anyone in this building. We believe this building remains safe.
And the Consul General of Israel in the area here tonight responding to the incident, saying they're saddened by this incident and that they're praying for that security guard's full recovery. Whit.
Faith Abube for us tonight. Thank you. In Los Angeles, the mayor warning about a possible serial killer on the loose, preying on homeless victims. At least 3 people murdered since Sunday. And tonight, the new surveillance images from the LAPD. Here's ABC's Kana Whitworth.
Tonight, police in Los Angeles are searching for a serial killer, releasing this grainy photo of a man they believe is preying on homeless victims, along with an image of the suspect's car.
We're asking the public to look at these images and to help us identify the person responsible.
3 homeless people have been murdered in separate shootings across the city since Sunday. Police say the suspect shot each victim while they were sleeping alone on a sidewalk or alley in an open area. And tonight, the mayor urging the homeless to avoid sleeping outside alone.
Do not sleep alone tonight. Seek shelter, seek services, stay together.
The LAPD now adding patrols to areas where the homeless sleep. On any given night, up to 75,000 people could be found on the streets of LA County.
And Whit, tonight authorities have created a task force and a 24-hour hotline. Also, the Los Angeles police chief is reaching out to law enforcement across the region to see if they've had any similar incidents. Whit.
Kana, thank you. Next tonight, a new legal setback for former President Donald Trump. A D.C. appeals court has cleared the way for civil lawsuits against him for allegedly inciting the January 6th Capitol riot, rejecting his claim of absolute immunity. Here's ABC's Chief Justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas.
Former President Trump has long claimed he's immune from all civil and criminal liability for inciting the violent mob on January 6th, arguing he was acting in his official capacity as president.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol.
Tonight, in a long-awaited decision, a federal appeals court ruled that when Trump held that rally on the Ellipse, he was not acting as president, but as a candidate for president. Writing, when a first-term president opts to seek a second term, his campaign to win re-election is not an official presidential act.
He had argued he had absolute immunity because he was president of the United States. And the appeals court distinguishing here between the president and the presidential candidate.
Trump can still appeal the ruling, but for now it clears the way for the plaintiffs, that include 2 injured Capitol police officers and several members of Congress, to sue Trump for monetary damages, adding to the pile of legal woes facing the former president. Meanwhile, today in Georgia, Trump's attorneys were in state court on the Fulton County election interference case, making the case that the charges should be dismissed. They said Trump fighting the election results was political speech protected by the First Amendment. No ruling on that just yet, Whit.
Pierre Thomas, our thanks to you tonight. We are remembering an American trailblazer, Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, the first woman to serve on the High Court. She died today at age 93. For more than 2 decades, Justice O'Connor was known for building compromise on the court, and always with a quiet authority and grace. ABC's Terry Moran looks back at her life and influence.
Sandra Day O'Connor was a towering figure on the U.S. Supreme Court for 24 years, the crucial swing vote, shaping the law in case after case. And she was so much more. An American icon, the no-nonsense rancher's daughter and brilliant legal mind who had to fight entrenched sexism every step of the way of her remarkable rise to power. She learned to brand a calf and fire a rifle before she was 10, and she was a brilliant student near the top of her class at Stanford Law School. But when she graduated, the only job offer she got was to be a legal secretary, as she told George Stephanopoulos.
You graduate at the top of your class in law school and can't get a job.
Not even an interview.
Not even an interview.
Much less a job. Isn't that amazing? Well, times changed, but that was at a time in the middle of the last century when women weren't hired as lawyers.
But none of that could stop her. She went to work for the district attorney, won a seat in the state senate, and became a state judge. Then President Reagan, fulfilling a campaign promise, chose her to become the first woman on the Supreme Court.
She is truly a person for all seasons, possessing those unique qualities of temperament, fairness, intellectual capacity, and devotion to the public good.
When O'Connor arrived at the court, she discovered there were no women's bathrooms near the justices' offices. That changed, and much else.
It was a signal that it was all right that women could be in such positions, that they could do well in such positions. And so opportunities at every level, not just for lawyers and judges, but across the spectrum, opened for women. It was wonderful.
She cast the decisive votes on numerous landmark cases, upholding Roe v. Wade and the right to choose abortion, preserving affirmative action in higher education, and upholding congressional regulation of campaign spending by corporations and unions. All those cases later overturned. In 2006, she stepped down from the court. Her husband had developed Alzheimer's, and she wanted to take care of him. And then, in a bitter irony, she announced in 2018 she had been diagnosed with dementia herself and was withdrawing from public life. In that farewell letter, Sandra Day O'Connor wrote, "I hope I have helped pave the pathway for women who may have faced obstacles pursuing their careers." And she also wrote, "How fortunate I feel to be an American." Whit?
Terry Moran, thank you so much. And later in this broadcast, Justice Sandra Day O'Connor and what she had to say about being the first. But when we come back here tonight, tracking rain in the Northeast and the new major storm in the West, and for the first time, actress Felicity Huffman breaking her silence about her role in that college admissions cheating scandal. Stay with us. Tonight, tracking storms on both coasts heading into the weekend. Rain across the Northeast tonight, from Washington, D.C. to Philadelphia, New York to Boston. Strong storms along the Gulf tomorrow. And in the West, 10 states under alerts for flooding rains, high winds, along with up to 4 feet of snow in the mountains. When we come back, Felicity Huffman breaks her silence about her role in the college admissions cheating scandal. To the Index now, and for the first time, actress Felicity Huffman is breaking her silence about her role in the college admissions cheating scandal. Huffman was fined and served 11 days in prison for paying a $15,000 bribe to have her daughter's wrong answers corrected on her SAT exam. She was one of 33 parents, including actress Lori Loughlin, to face federal charges in the scheme. In an exclusive interview with our station KABC, she says she had to break the law to protect her daughter's future.
I know hindsight is 20/20, but it felt like I would be a bad mother if I didn't do it. So I did it.
Huffman says her daughter retook the SATs and is now studying drama in college. When we come back, Sandra Day O'Connor in her own words. Finally tonight, former Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor in her own words, what it was like becoming the first woman on the bench.
It's such a remarkable feeling to have been sworn in as a justice of the court, a position I never anticipated holding. I never aspired to that. I didn't think it was a realistic aspiration, and I never spent time thinking about it. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, here came inquiries about my availability to talk about a position on the court. That was a shock. I didn't want it. And I wasn't sure that I could do the job well enough to justify trying. I've often said, it's wonderful to be the first to do something, But I didn't want to be the last. If I didn't do a good job, it might have been the last.
Certainly it wasn't the last. What a legacy. Thanks so much for watching tonight. I'm Whit Johnson. Have a great night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.